welcome back to Riding the Pine. This is our review of Game 14 of the 2020-21 Chicago Blackhawks season. Tonight, the Blackhawks picked up their sixth win of the season with a 2-1 victory over the Dallas Stars, improving their record to 6-4-4 on the season and an impressive 6-1-4 in their last 11 games. But before we get to that, please do me a really big favor down below and hit that like and subscribe button to the channel if you haven't done so already. It helps drive traffic to the channel, and our numbers have been very low over the weekend, probably because of the Super Bowl, but we would greatly appreciate it if you guys would do that. And please also comment down below. We've only had one comment through the whole season so far. If you guys comment down below, we will interact with you. We want to know what you think about the team, about specific players. That's the whole point of this podcast. And tonight I'm joined by Chi Sports fan Joe. And Joe, the Hawks made a statement tonight down deep in the heart of Texas.
Yes, no doubt about it. I mean, like I said, we're clicking, and it's so enjoyable to see, especially like for most of the Hawks fans, including myself. Our expectations right now are without a question being blown out of the water. I mean, I think after 25% of the way through the season, I don't think anybody expected this team to be clicking on pretty much all cylinders the way that they are right now. I mean, the power play, the penalty kill, goaltending, defense, it's all just kind of coming together. I would love to see the offense kind of start to get some sparks, but we're holding our own and we're winning the games that I think everybody thought we would lose, and that's been such a great sign.
Yeah, tonight I had put out a tweet. The Hawks needed to make a statement tonight, and they did. And I think they made more than one. I think they made two, one of which was we're for real. And the NHL has been put on notice. Uh, when you go 6-1-4 in 11 games, like that's the thing. I think a lot of people and a lot of pundits go, "Oh, well, 6-4-4. They've gotten lucky in a few games and they'll come back down to earth." But inside of that, when you go, no, they're 6-1-4 in their last 11. They've lost only once in regulation in 11 games. Like that's the type of run that they went back in 2013, where they went, what was it, 23 games was it before they lost in regulation?
Yeah, I think they went 21-0-3 to start
Yeah,
the year.
something insane like that.
Yeah.
And obviously, they're not going to make that kind of a run unless this is a really special season. But um, that's something I think they've just beat the defending Western Conference champions in Texas twice. Granted, Kudobin and Bishop are not healthy Kudobin is, Bishop isn't, and Sagan is also out of the lineup. So they are missing some players. But it's still, to me, the Hawks are missing more important players, I think, than they are. So I think that says a lot about this team. And I think maybe even the bigger statement that they made was to themselves. That first period was ugly
Yeah.
tonight.
No question. It was definitely one of the lull periods, and I know me and you had talked about it, Kyle, before we came on. It's kind of felt like, okay, are the Hawks kind of starting to come back down to earth here after getting behind, when Suter made that turnover? Okay, it's now pucks in the back of our net. We're chasing the game again. It's 1-0 Dallas. We didn't really look good. I was like, all right, well, maybe this is kind of the game where, the fire starts to die a little bit, where we kind of come back down to earth a little bit. And it sure looked that way, like I said, for the first period and really the first 10 minutes of the second period. But after that, but Lankinen kept us in it, made some huge saves, and we just kind of kept ourselves in the game, did what we needed to do, and then bam, we get on the power play and it strikes again, and here we are in a tie game and a tight game again, and look what happens. We found a way to win. So that's what's so encouraging about this team is you never really count them out. You don't sleep on them right now because they're clicking on all cylinders.
Well, I think was such a young team. We've talked about it before, where even we've really harped on them getting the first goal and playing with the lead and getting out in front. Um, but good teams can always fight back even when they go down early. And we talked about that 5-0 Calgary game where I think this team needs instances. The 5-0 game's a lot different than this, obviously, but I think when they play such a bad period, and you have so many young players on this team, and that gets in your head a little bit, and that it was self-inflicted, basically. I think that really helps that now against the Tampa Bay, against the Dallas type of team, Vegas type of team, you can come back and still win the game after playing like dog crap for half of it. So I think that was a good like winning culture thing that will carry on with these younger players. But
That's
yeah,
I would love to see, like, it's like I just wish, the way the Hawks are playing right now, I kind of wish the Lightning were on our schedule, a little bit sooner than when we play them again. I'd love to see how, like, especially with them playing the way they are right now, I'd love to see them how they played, how they would play against like the Lightning at this point, the way they're playing now.
Yeah, I think both Florida teams, especially, I think I'm more interested in them playing the Panthers because the Panthers have a very, very good record right now, but I'm not sure how much of that is inflated. Seems to me like they've played the Red Wings a lot. Um, I think they've played them maybe 4 times. So that's like if that's the case, that's a big, red flag with their overall schedule. And I think maybe they've played Nashville, which would make sense given the geographic location. Um, so I would like, obviously Tampa too, but I think both Florida teams I'd like to see because this team is, I'm not going to make any promises that this team's going to make the playoffs, but they're definitely, to me, they're better than Nashville. They're better than Detroit. And they can hang with Columbus. I think they may even be better than Columbus. And they've hung with Dallas, beaten them twice, hung with Carolina, lost to them in shootout, correct, and then beat them as well. Or, excuse me, lost to them in regulation. That's the one regulation loss, and then beat them I believe in overtime, correct? Or
Yeah,
did we lose both of those games?
I think we lost, yeah, to Carolina.
Yeah, maybe one of them was in a shootout and one of them was in regulation.
Yeah, we
Um,
we lost in a shootout, and then
yeah,
yeah, lost in regulation, and yeah. Hmm.
yeah. Okay, so it's everything's kind of blurring together now, but the point being is that they've hung in there with them and they've only lost by 1 goal basically.
Right.
Um, so those first 4 games of the season were such an anomaly. I would really like to see what they could do against both teams in Florida, and obviously we will. It's just going to be a little bit further on down the line. I believe we've got Columbus coming into the. Are we going to Columbus
No, we got Columbus is coming to the UC.
again? Okay,
Yeah. So
that's
that'll be,
interesting.
and then yeah, then we go to Detroit, and then we go to Carolina, and then yeah, we're on a pretty lengthy road trip after these two against the Blue Jackets. We're then at Detroit, at Carolina, and then at Columbus before coming back home the end of February to finish the month against Detroit again.
That's weird that we would have all of our home games against the Blue Jackets over already.
Yeah.
But yeah, so um, yeah, I really this team is going to be in that. This team could finish anywhere from second to fourth to fifth. Right? Well, I guess between second and fifth. I don't think they're going to be. I think they'll be ahead of Nashville. They'll obviously be ahead of Detroit, and I think they're going to be ahead of Columbus. Obviously, we'll know that for sure. Probably
Right.
this week.
And this is barring, obviously, hopefully, COVID protocols and injuries and stuff
Right.
like this. Hopefully, all stay healthy and everything is okay with our guys that are playing.
Right, and I'm be curious to see. So it was announced today. Before we get to the actual game review, it was announced today that Adam Boquist was removed, or was that yesterday? I think he just was removed from COVID protocols, and then Connor Murphy went out with a hip injury, and I kind of made a comment to Ben Pope, I believe it was, where they had asked about getting Boquist in the games now, now that Bodan and Carlson have been playing so well, and he had kind of said, I don't remember the exact quote, but he had made a remark that kind of led me to believe that he might sit a veteran. And now we know that Murph is out with an injury. And this is something to keep an eye on, too, with Murphy. He's a really nice player and a good player, but he's always getting injured. He's been injured, I think, every season that we've had him. And I don't know if this is a long-term thing or if
I
it's
know.
just,
Yeah, I think the Hawks were calling this day to day.
yeah.
So,
But hopefully it's not going to be something that is prolonged. Um, but yeah, so I mean, do you think how long do you think it is before we see Boquist back in the lineup?
yeah, I mean, I think they were talking about too. I thought I saw something on Twitter. Or somebody had one of the beat writers had tweeted that they're going to have to get him, uh, up to speed. I mean, he's been out a little bit now. He's going to have to get back kind of into the game, swag and shape or whatever you want to call it. So it's good. I would say if he doesn't come in uh, against Columbus on Thursday, I'd say he'll probably be in against Columbus on Saturday. So that would be my guess for him. He might, depending on how he does, either at practice, if they have a practice tomorrow, and then I'm sure Colleton will make the determination on whether or not he'll be able to get back in either Thursday or Saturday.
Yeah, and if Murphy is not out, that's going to create a very interesting dynamic. I don't have a problem, I don't think, with taking Carlson out of the lineup. But Bodan has been spectacular since coming to the lineup. And tonight was his best game, I thought. He played 15 minutes and 30 seconds, including in the overtime. Was he on the ice in overtime when the game winner went in?
It was
Hagel and Suter, who was the third guy.
I know it was an all rookie. It was
Mitchell, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Mitchell.
Yeah, well, Mitchell had a great game tonight too, and played a career high in minutes, I believe, with 18.
Yeah, it was Hagel, Suter, and Mitchell were on the ice for the OT goal.
Okay, so both Mitchell and Bodan got overtime play tonight. That was good to see. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting conversation because I don't want to take Bodan out of the lineup. Like that's
No, I don't think you can. So,
and you don't want to take Mitchell out either. So if Murphy is healthy, they're going to have the decision to make with the defense. And we can talk about the 11-7 thing that they went back to tonight, which I thought was a horrific decision. Is it Madison Bowie? Is Madison his first name?
Yeah, I think it is Madison Bowie. Let's see.
Yeah, he got in. Yes, he got into his first game tonight, so he is now eligible to be drafted by the Kraken. I thought that was a really boneheaded thing for Colleton to do. And the reason I say that is as far as I'm aware, Bowie has not played at all in over a year almost. And it showed especially the first shift. He had a couple turnovers in that first period, and he only played about 10 minutes tonight. But if to me, if you were gonna, I guess that's why they ran with the 11-7, because they didn't think, that he'd be able to play, full minutes. And plus, he's only been with a team called up anyway for maybe a week and a half.
Yeah,
So
like
he's
that.
probably not totally up to speed with the team. But I guess either way, they survived it. But I was not really a fan of, as someone who's been wanting them to do the 11-7. I was not really a fan of that decision tonight, especially against Dallas. Um, but yeah, I mean, overall in the game, first period, as we mentioned, was a shit show. Pius Suter was terrible. I had a turnover that led to a goal, and then I believe he took a penalty as well late in the first period. Um, I actually even tweeted I thought he should have been benched. But then again, because you're playing 11-7, you can't bench him because you're already down a forward. Um, so, yeah, not a good first period, not a good first 10 minutes of the second period either. But then they hung on. Lankinen was huge as per usual. And I want to talk about Kurashev. So on the power play goal, and this is again, the Hawks went 1 for 4 on the power play tonight. His pass to who was it? To
I think
Kubalik?
was yeah, I think it was to Kubalik to then
Yeah,
Kurashev to Kubalik to Janmark. Yeah.
like Kurashev is just the kid's not getting any minutes. He had 12 minutes and 41 seconds tonight, and two and a half of them were on the power play. Um, so I'm not sure why he's getting sheltered like that. I would like to see that bumped. Same thing with Shaw. Shaw's a veteran, and we kind of know what Shaw is at this point, so I'm not as concerned with it with Shaw. But he played 15 minutes, 4 of which were on the power play. So that line, and like, especially when you're down a forward, I think this is like, we've talked about this before, but I just think time management is still something. Like, if there was a complaint with Colleton so far this year, I think that's it. Like, time management with these players
Yeah.
is,
And looking at it, they said now 4 of the Hawks' last 6 power play goals have come from the second unit.
yeah.
So that's pretty crazy too. So
Yeah, well, and I know somebody wanted to take Kubalik off that and up to the first. And obviously, everyone knows how big of a fan of Kubalik I am, but I think I even said to them, like, why the hell would you change something that's working? Like,
right. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right.
yeah, like, because Kane and DeBrincat on the top unit was, I believe, Strome. They're eventually going to score.
Right.
So leave the one that's scoring alone, considering your big boys will eventually get going. Um, but yeah, I've thought Kurashev is just, I don't want to say he's come out of nowhere because he's 20 years old. And he's been in the system for a while, and we kind of knew he was going to be a player to watch. But man, he some of the stuff that he does, whether it's passing or going to the front of the net with his moves or whatever it is, he had a great game the other night. He drew 2 penalties. He wasn't on the score sheet, but he had 2 penalties that he drew. So he just does everything. So I'm not sure why he's being sheltered, I guess,
Mm.
like he is. But Janmark got the goal again, and where would this team be without Janmark?
Right. I mean, look at he's had 6 goals in each of his last 2 seasons, and he's already got 6 goals in his last 10 games. That's crazy.
Well, 5, right? I think.
Is it 5? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know
So
if it was 5 or 6.
I mean, yeah. Basically, he's at where he was all of last season already, in 14 games. But um, I'm gonna be honest, man. If the wheels do fall off, you can't trade him. You
Yeah.
can't. Like, so he reminds me a lot of Patrick Sharp, where he adds that, like, he's not one of your stars, but he adds that, like, secondary scoring where he's a threat. And he can kind of play up and down the lineup. And I say he's not. He reminds me of Sharp, but he's not Sharp. So Janmark's much more of a two-way forward than Sharp was. So I think that makes him even more of a better player, even if that's possible, if he continues to produce at this level. So my God, it's Dallas probably killing themselves for giving up on him, because he also has 3 assists as well,
Mm-hmm.
4 assists. So he's got 9 points.
Yeah.
That's
I said I don't know, like, but you wonder what kind of if he keeps up this tear, what kind of money he's gonna want next year.
Oh, I don't think after 1 year at his age, because he's 28, 27. So I think he'd probably be in that three and a half, like Kubalik money, probably. And when you've got Zach Smith coming off the books, there's no reason they shouldn't be able to keep him, as well as because Suter comes off the books too. Um, Assuming they want to keep him around, which I would imagine they do, uh, they'll have money available. And you're not bringing Soderbergh back either, so there's another mill. But Kubalik, I think I've like broken Deets like both nights now, and ever since our like notorious dust up, like he's crapped on him, and it's like, dude, what happened? Like, I didn't think you were gonna take it that much to heart, but um, I guess so a remark I made on Twitter about Kubalik tonight. I think this was in the 3rd period. So there was a play down in the offensive zone, and Strome was on the ice, and he was chasing the puck up along the end boards, and Kubalik's off the boards by maybe 6 feet, 7 feet, and he just kind of stands there. Like, it's pretty clear Strome's not going to be able to get to the puck to keep the puck in. And I don't know, like, I guess Kubalik, I don't know if he was worried about getting caught flat-footed and, getting spun around or what, but he just kind of stood there. It's like, all right, well, who's going to get the puck? Where's this going to go? And it's like, dude, are you this allergic to going to the boards? Like, to forecheck and play some defense, like to keep the puck in the pressure in the offensive zone? Like, even when he's like, if there's like sustained pressure in their defensive zone, he's always out along the point, along the blue lines, waiting to skate out to try to get, if they do get the puck for an odd man rush. It's like, dude, just be a little bit more like responsible and a little bit more two-way forward. Like, I wouldn't hate on you as much, but like when you're not scoring on the power play and you're not like contributing anything else, like, just need more from you, man. But
Right. And I know the one play, like I thought too, the one pass by Zadorov when he tried to backhand one and to try to make a pass, I think in our in the offensive zone, and it was picked off, and I knew, because like after Zadorov made that pass, whoever it was like was making a beeline past him, and I'm like, he gets this puck to him, he's gone. And sure enough, he did. And he was on like I don't know who it was from Dallas, but they were on a partial, kind of almost a breakaway, but it was more like a partial breakaway because Zadorov did back check and get back to him. But I was like, as soon as he made that pass, I'm like, this is gonna end bad. And luckily it didn't. But I'm like, just he just like it's like he's always committing that one egregious turnover per game, Zadorov. But
yeah, well, Dahan was quiet tonight. Well, I take that back. So he ended up, like Sidorov, he ended up making up for it and saving his ass. But Dahan, and I think Sidorov can get away with it a little bit more than Dahan can, because one, Zadorov is younger, but he's also 6'6", so his wingspan which is what allowed him on the play you're just talking about just now, where he was able to kind of knock the puck off the puck carrier, and then whoever was trailing, I think, is the one that got the shot off, if I'm remembering correctly. But DeHaan got caught flat-footed again, and I think it was Cogliano, I think, and he's a veteran, so he's not exactly a young stud out there. Just simply outskated him, like had a 2 foot, 3 foot, and DeHaan eventually was able to cut him off and stop him from getting an odd man rush, but it was just like, if they keep making, eventually they're going to get caught on these turnovers and on getting caught flat-footed like that. So
well, it's like, yeah, they're getting caught, but like, yeah, like you said, they're getting, I think, our goaltenders bailing them out, and eventually, yeah, they're not, our goaltenders obviously not going to be able to bail them out every single time.
Right. Well, and I think that's to my point. So, like, with look, if it were up to me, Boquist would be in Rockford. I wouldn't even flirt with this notion of inserting him back into the lineup, because I don't think he's in a place right now especially since he's been out for 2.5 weeks, to be playing 18 minutes a game like he was before he went out, and he was playing like crap. By the way, I know you don't subscribe to The Athletic, so I don't know if you saw this or heard about this. Stan Bowman went on record in that piece that they released, I think 2 days ago, that he thought Adam Boquist was our best defenseman in the first half of games, like first 5 or 6 games. And I just sat there and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, yeah, and it's not like he's going to say, oh, he's been,
but it's
he's gonna tout him because that's who Stan Bowman is. So
yeah, but it's like, what of like all the other positives there are to talk about with Mitchell and Bodin and the forwards and Lincoln, and it's like pretty like one of the universal things with even the people that are like pro Boquist was he needs to be benched and scratched, or he needs to be even sent to Rockford. So for Bowman to come out and go, yeah, he was our best defenseman, it's like, dude, no wonder you're getting ripped off in trades. Like, are you for real? Thank God we have scouts that know what they're looking at.
right.
But
right.
Yeah. So that, I mean, again, I don't want to complain about that too much because there were a shit ton of turnovers tonight. Like the first whole half of you can just throw the tape out the first half of the game. It was not a pretty sight. One of the positives though, the PK went 2 for 2 again tonight and 5 for 5 in the 2 games. And coming into the series, the Dallas Stars had the top power play in the league. So kudos.
Aren't the Hawks like 21 of their last 22 or something and the PK?
I think 22 of 23 now.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's crazy. So, which is great.
Yeah. Well, I think, I don't know, it's probably changed since last I looked, but when you're in the top 5 for power play and then top 10 for PK, like you're going to be at the top of the league, like generally speaking. And then when you get the goaltending that they're getting, like it's just so hard, like thinking about where this team would be right now if they were healthy. Because if they were healthy, I mean, we talked about it before we went on about those 2 games in Nashville that I think they should have won, both of them. That would put, if they had won both of those games, it'd be 8-4-4. That, like, they'd be in first place by a point, I believe, ahead of Tampa. Like, that's just, granted, Tampa obviously hasn't played as many games because of COVID, but just this team, and I don't think, look, this team's not winning the division, but if they keep playing like this and if they add something to it, whether that's Taves and Doc or Doc and not Taves, or if it's somebody else through trade, there's no reason this team couldn't, like I said, finish as high as second. And I don't think they're going to finish any lower than fifth. I think they're, like I said, I think they're better than Detroit. They're better than Nashville. And I think you can argue they're better than Columbus. Obviously, they split with Columbus, but I think Corpusalo really kept Columbus in that first game
Yeah.
that he stole.
So yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think they're definitely. I mean, they're showing right now, like you said, they're competing well against the top tier teams in our division. You know, they're. I mean, they may not have come out on the front end of some of these games, but we really haven't gotten the doors in essence blown off of us in any of the games, like really since the first 3 games of the season. So, and that's why I know we were talking about it too. It's like you would love to see. I would love to see the Tampa Bay Lightning like on the schedule coming up versus Columbus or Detroit, because I would love to see the way that the Hawks are playing right now, them match up against the Lightning at this point to see what they can do, the way that they're clicking now against a team like Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I just, I don't know. I know I'd mentioned to you, this team reminds me a lot of Barry Trotz's New York Islanders, where the defense this season is just so much more improved. And just the little things so talking about the little things, Alex DeBrincat, since he's come back, has been phenomenal.
Yeah, he's been a
Not
monster.
just
Yeah.
not just from on the score sheet though. Like, he's actually forechecking now. He's got the hustle. Passing is crisp. By the way, I thought Patrick Kane was bad tonight. I don't know. Maybe he's just tired. I thought Suter looked tired too, and we'll get to Suter's game-winning goal in a minute because that was beautiful. But I DeBrincat has just been, I think, I don't know if he's just a man on a mission from last season or what, but it's a beautiful thing to see, because, like I said, his contract at the end of this current one, if he is to be re-signed, has to start at minimum $9 million. And if
When
he
is
was
he? Yeah, he's on a 2-year deal, isn't he? DeBrincat?
three,
3. Okay.
yeah, well, including this year, so he's got 2 years left after this. But if he was going to play like he did last year, he's not a $9 million player.
Right.
Keeps playing like this, and also improves his two-way game, that's a huge difference in whether I would be wanting to hand him $9 million or not. Um, but maybe a negative here, and we've kind of stopped talking about it, so maybe that's kind of a notice that it's becoming bad again, or a negative. Dylan Strome is struggling mightily at the face-off circle again. He's at 25% tonight. I think over this little stretch of winning games and going to overtime, picking up points, his face-off percentage since the first, what was it, 6 or 7 games, has dipped to like 40%, which is
Yeah. What,
not.
what was he like? Was he at over 60 at one point too?
Yeah, so the first like 4 games he was at like 63, then he dropped down to the 50s, and now he's just really struggling. Um, Granted, we've been playing better teams, so that
Right.
could be a part of it. Although he was doing it against Tampa, so that doesn't quite compute. But um, yeah, I don't. Maybe he's not a center, and that's certainly, assuming Doc and Taves come back. You're going to have some interesting decisions, I think, throughout this lineup of what to do. Because
I mean, I think we got a better chance at this point. If I had to put, I had to bet money on it, I would say we got a better chance of seeing Taves than we do Doc this year. That's just my opinion. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know I heard that Doc was starting to skate, but they said like don't
I don't think he's skating yet. His cast is still on, so I doubt they'd let him skate yet.
Well, I think they said I don't know. I thought I saw something. They said he was doing like some very, very light skating. So that's why, and people said, oh, well, don't jump the gun because, he's still got a long way to go.
I think you're
So
thinking of Seabrook.
maybe, maybe I was thinking of Seabrook. So,
Yeah, so I still think Doc's going to play. I don't know how many games, but so his timetable was 4 to 5 months. He had surgery on the 28th of December. So we'll basically be at 2 months at the end of this month, and the season ends May 8th. So he'll be at 4 months come April. And
I would think it probably will depend on where the Blackhawks are at that point to whether or not
well, yes, and I think that it same goes for Taves. I think we've talked about, I think I mentioned it in the last review, and we've talked about it off air about if this continues, their winning ways, let's say, what is going on with Taves from the fan base and the beat writers, I think, as well, validly. I think everyone's going to start poking the organization with, hey, we need to know what's going on because look. So Bowman came out. He went on like a quarter season press reel again, which is interesting. He was all over the place this week, so far, I guess, early this week, and he had mentioned that there's nothing new to report on Taves, and they're leaving him alone, which is just bullshit. Like nobody and their mother that's wasn't born yesterday believes that. And for one thing, he's under contract for a fuck ton of money, so you want to protect that investment if you're the Blackhawks. So you're not just being like, yeah, go and do whatever you do, Johnny. Go eat some kale. That'll you like doing that. That'll get you good. They're not doing that. Like they're definitely in on whatever tests and medical procedures and stuff that he's having done. So they have to have some sort of an idea of what's going on with him. Obviously, they're just not disclosing it yet. But like I said, the more this team starts winning, the more that's going to start coming to the forefront more because, we don't there's a timetable on Doc. We may even see Nylander back if they make the playoffs, right? Because, he's going to be out of crutches, I think, soon. So that means he's going to be working on his motion and probably start skating as well, probably within the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So he should be probably skating, I would think, by the end of the month. So, maybe not full-fledged skating, but he'll be back, kind of doing regular, normal skating by the end of the month. So all three of those guys really, we know Doc and Nylander's timetable, but we don't know anything about Taves, which is what's making it, I think, all of this kind of questionable. But you think he's coming back?
I mean, I kind of, if I had it, like I said, I think it just all depends on where the Hawks are. I really think if Taves continues and this play from the team continues and they continue to click throughout the year, maybe at the halfway point they'll reassess it, in the next quarter, quarter of 14 games here.
Well, that was going to be my question: is if he comes back, when do you think that is? So you think that'd be what, about the second week of March?
Yeah, I would say it's got to be sometime after the halfway point. If we do see him before the halfway point, I'll be pleasantly surprised. But if we don't see him by the halfway point, I'll kind of say, okay, this is kind of where I thought we would be. And if we continue to not see him after the halfway point, then at that point, I'm going to say, then the chances of him coming back at this year are I think would be slim to none. Yeah, it would all depend on where, like I said, where the Hawks would be maybe toward the end of the season, like in April or the end of March, early April. They would probably reassess and say, okay, Johnny, what's the deal? You're either in or you're out. So that would be my guess. But I feel like the kind of person Taves is, and I'm sure he hates being in the position he's in more than anybody else, in the
Well, I was
world.
just going to ask that. I was thinking, and I want to point out here, I'm not saying this is the case. It's just a thought that I had. Do you think there's any possibility that, because it's been kind of a big deal was made out of it. Was it over this summer or before? I think it was last. Yeah, it started last year with Bufflin. Bufflin just didn't want to play anymore. He could play, but he just didn't want to play anymore. He lost the love of the game or lost the, you know, competitive edge or whatever. Do you think maybe Taves is something like that? And it's not just that, but it was made very public that he was not happy about Corey Crawford not being brought back. Um, Probably as well with Brandon Saad being traded. And then add in, we know Taves is kind of a germaphobe, health geek kind of a individual with COVID going on and everything. Do you think maybe he just didn't want to play this year?
I mean,
And
but
because he was
part of
angry
me
and
is
pissed
like I
and
said, I maybe with the COVID, I don't know if he got it. I'm assuming he did just because of all this, but I don't want to make drastic assumptions saying, oh, there's no question he did. I don't know if he did or not, but with the competitive drive that Taves has, and especially seeing the way he would go out there and go to bat for really any of his teammates, it makes me believe that this is serious and that he otherwise he'd be out there. I there's no question in my mind. And now if the Hawks were not playing this good and they're and it's, instead of 6-4-4 and the Hawks are sitting at with a worse record than this or like where the Detroit Red Wings are at this point, then maybe Taves would say, yeah, I'm just gonna opt out. Why come back and if I have to risk an injury or something even worse than
no getting COVID or
yeah, at
Well,
this
I think, but that's the thing because that is what I mean. I'm not when I say that is what happened, but I'm not saying that's what he said or thought to himself that he just was opting out. But the Hawks were when we just talked about it, they were supposed to be horrible this year. Like maybe even dead last. Like a lot of people thought they might have been worse than Detroit. And like I said, when you figure in all of the drama that happened that was very out there in the media and our lovely who must not be named beat writer tried to get him to do an interview after Crawford was let go and Saad was traded. And there was the infamous supposed Zoom call that took place between Colleton, Bowman, Keith, Kane, Seabrook, and I believe Taves about what the direction that they were going in and all of that. It was very, very public, even to other fans of podcasters and YouTubers that were commenting on Taves not being happy in the summer. Well, I guess fall actually, since we had a little bit of a different cycle here. But so I'm wondering because I mean, there's even speculation that like he had whatever this is in the bubble, like that it was going on then. So like that just begs the question. So like if it is something like that where I don't know if it's just he's lost the competitive edge and doesn't want to play anymore, or if it's like it's just a combination of everything from losing his friends to not being a fan of management, whatever it is, or if he did get COVID and then, coupled with that and he's lethargic. But that's what's interesting now, right? Because the team isn't bad. Like, the team is good. And it's very obvious that if they had Taves and Doc, we'd be probably at a much better record considering the amount of games that have went to extra time. And maybe they wouldn't even have went to extra time if we had those players. So I'm just curious, especially like obviously, and the reason I thought of this was, we know what happened with Bufflin, and he just quit. Like, it wasn't, yes, he had ankle problems, but he also just quit. Like, he could have played. He was gonna show up and then just decided he was done.
Well, then it also kind of and then, you circle back to another player who was kind of like in Bufflin's shoes was Ryan O'Reilly. And I mean, they even like when he was with Buffalo, I mean, he even said, I lost my love of the game. I just, and maybe, like I said, it was going from, was he on Colorado, then going to Buffalo, and, kind of like, okay, well, this just isn't going to do it. I'm just not, he said he lost the love of the game, apparently, which, and everybody was making the jokes. Well, Buffalo will do that to a player, but, you know, regardless of what team you're on, you want to go out there and play to win a game. And, it's about getting the other players to buy in, but maybe that just didn't happen in Buffalo with him. And then boom, he's traded to St. Louis, and,
he's an MVP.
Yeah, right. And he goes on to win, the Conn Smythe and wins the cup. So you don't know what can happen. And that's why I said with Taves, maybe he just, like you said, he thought, okay, well, this year's kind of going to be a lost cause. We're not going to go anywhere. Well, I think the team's kind of proven to him, like, look, we're legit here. We can win hockey games. And like Kane said, they're starting to buy in to what Colleton's pitching. And, I think Taves he's got to be noticing this. And, when
I think that's okay. Like, maybe that's the thing. And this is like straight speculation. But and the reason that I'm going there with this is because, one, like I said, we've seen the prior instances with other players, and we know about all the drama that happened over the offseason and even before that, with not liking Colleton. And here's the other thing that I was thinking about when you were talking just now, that the losing that's happened. Like, if you go back and you think about watching him at the end of the, in the post games and talking to the media, he was totally dejected, didn't want to do it. He did it, but like, you could just tell he wasn't having fun. He was miserable. He'd have another bad loss, and it was like, even after a win, it would kind of be like, and I know his demeanor, he didn't get captain serious for any reason, but, his demeanor is kind of that way. But there was, I think, ever since he came into the league, he's never really, even Kane as well, they've never really been a part of losing before. So I think that's an adjustment. Whereas at least Keith and Seabrook were here when it was really bad, their first few seasons. But Kane and Taves never really experienced that before. So I'm wondering if, all of the losing too would feel bad. And, when you've spent your whole career somewhere, you probably don't want to leave either. So, but I think maybe this is just on him. Like, they had mentioned in the stuff that was put out this week with Bowman's, commenting on the situation. Where was the opening night? He wasn't even there. All the injured players were there. Seabrook was there. Nylander was there. Doc was there. No take.
Yeah, and that's what I wondered too. But maybe he was, out of, I don't know if he was out of town, if he was with doctors in another state or up in Canada. We don't know. I don't know. But
yeah, but it looks off. Like, I would think you would want to put that, like, because it looks bad. Like, you're the captain and you're not there. Like, and then it's not just that. Like, all the injured players have been at the rink. And it's
But
just
maybe Taves with what he has, I don't know if it comes at the recommendations of doctors, and you don't want, maybe they don't want him traveling. I don't know if he's even in Chicago, if he's home, if they don't want him to be exposed to any more than what he already has. So
yeah.
he could be under orders that, he has to either be in, not to say like completely in quarantine, but outside, to have
Well,
his,
then, like, why wouldn't he? What he needs to make a statement. Like, so I know he made a statement that respect his privacy, he's dealing with it, whatever, and all that kind of thing. But like, it's at this point, like, it's weird. Like, Nylander's probably not playing unless they make the playoffs. Seabrook may never play again. Like,
right.
they
I know. Yeah. Bowman said, yeah, his injury is starting to be a concern. So,
yeah. So like, and even he's skating, but I don't know what if he plays again. It may not be in Chicago, but it's just like these guys are coming around, and I know Doc. Did Doc live with Seabrook? I think he did because they're from like the same
yeah.
area,
Yeah.
Canada.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, they've got that relationship, and they've been around the team and stuff, but it's just weird. Like, we haven't heard anything, like nothing from
No.
him, and I mean, like, dude, you don't need to come out and go, this is I'm going to so and so here, 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 and this is like, no, we just need to be like, are you feeling better? Are you getting any closer to coming back? Like, we're almost, what are we, 6 weeks into the season now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're, like I said, we're a quarter of the way through. We're 25% of the season is done. So we've got 75% of the year left. And like I said, I think after these next 10 to 14 games, I mean, after 14 games now will be the halfway point of the season. So at
Around,
that point, if we still haven't heard anything, I would think at that point it's going to get a little bit more magnified. So
yeah, and like, uh, I don't know, like, I just I guess what I'm saying is, I think this could have been handled, and or not could be, should be handled a little bit differently than it's being handled, because um, you can still respect the privacy of the player and kind of give the fans of the team like an idea what's going on, because, dude, like we said, if Taves is on this roster, it's a playoff team. If Doc's on this roster, if both of them on this roster, I mean, if both of them are on this roster, it's like a serious threat in the playoffs,
right,
the way they're playing right now. And then, you know what? Maybe, as we've been speculating, maybe in, a month, when we get to the halfway point, they fall back to earth, and all of this was, just conjecture. But if they
right,
keep playing like this, like, all like, look, and maybe this is why I'm irritated on the situation. This team is fun. Like, even
right. They're
though there's
young. Yeah, they're playing. They're going out there and they're playing the game. They're not. I feel like they're not thinking. They're just going out there and playing.
like, even I haven't had this much fun watching the Blackhawks play since probably the finals in 2015. And even in 2015, just that in the playoffs, it was so like on edge, right? Because that's playoff hockey. You're always on edge. You want to win. But like, I haven't felt like this in like shit since Kane and Taves first came back, started playing. Like, you have all these young star players, or what we hope are going to be stars. You got this great goalie, all these young kids on defense, and it's like, yes, this is like injecting life into the team again. You got all these new faces, this youth, this no quit attitude, which has frankly been missing for quite a while. And it's a fun team to watch. And they're not Tampa, they're not Colorado, they're not Vegas, but they're fun to watch, and that says something. So when
Right.
you're
They're working hard. They're working hard. They're buying into the system that, Colleton and the coaching staff are putting out there for them. And that's when you get everybody clicking on the same page, it's going to lead to results. Yeah. I mean, are you going to win every game? Obviously not. But I think the key is, like I said, coming into this season, we had such low expectations that we didn't think, okay, if they win 10 to 15 games, that's going to be like where we expect it to be. But hey, when things start to click, you're getting, like you said, you're getting the goaltending, you're getting the penalty kill, the power play is clicking, and you're getting contributions from really so many different players that you didn't think maybe were going to contribute as much as what they're contributing. And credit that to the players and to the staff. So they're going out there and they're putting plans together and they're executing them. So, and that's what we need to continue to happen. I mean, and again, I don't care. Like I think me and you talked about it. We don't care if the Blackhawks lose games because they're going to lose games, but it's just a matter of not getting the doors blown off like we kind of all anticipated them doing in the majority of their games. They're competitive, they're in games, and that's what you want to see.
Well, I don't even care if they get the doors blown off like they did against Tampa. Like not the first game against Tampa, but like the second game was okay as long as they're playing hard and I'm seeing player development.
Right. Right.
But you know, like I don't think anybody saw Kurashev being this big of a player, and even I mean at the ice time, like we've talked about him getting all of the defensemen that have come in, and all of this is really happenstance because if Doc and Taves and Seabrook were here, like we wouldn't be seeing Kurashev, we wouldn't be seeing Hagel, we wouldn't be seeing Janmark on the top lines, we wouldn't be seeing Bodan and Mitchell. We'd probably see, but Carlson would probably be a seventh defenseman. Bodan would be in Rockford, and we're probably going to get to see Kalanick, I hope, at some point. So like all of these, like there's, I guess my point to all of this is like I know Doc's timeline, and I know that he lines up with like right before the playoffs, maybe a month or so, maybe 2 weeks before. But I want to know what's with Taves because it's like being a little kid at Christmas, right? It's like, oh my God, this is awesome, this is awesome, this is awesome. Please, Taves, are you coming back? Are you coming back? Because like this team in the playoffs, man, like would be so much fun to watch and just watching this team grow. It's just, and he's the leader. Like the dude's the leader. He needs to be involved with this team. I get like that's just my issue, I guess. But
Yeah, and it could be, like you said, it could be something mentally. We don't know what's going on, in his head, and I hope he comes back. I think we all do. So, I mean, I respect the guy enough. I mean, the guy's, you know, done so much for this organization, and he's brought us 3 championships. So, he deserves my respect, and I'll give it to him, until he obviously gives us a reason not to. But I just
yeah,
don't
but
see.
I mean, like that's the thing, dude. We could be talking about a 4th championship right now. Like that,
Right. Well,
you know.
um,
I don't want to get too far ahead, but like,
right.
if you
So,
figure you add Taves, Doc, and then maybe Bowman makes a move or something, like you never know.
right.
But
Exactly. But I think at this point, let's just kind of play it out. Give it another 10 to 14 games, and then we'll kind of see where we stand with him. But
yeah, so let's talk about Suter's goal in overtime. His holiness, as I call him, Pius or Pius.
what, like, yeah, what is with that? I'm a little, maybe I'm a little out of the loop. Like, why? What is, like, with everybody, like with the Roman Catholic, like, influence with.
Because his name Pius is a Catholic saint.
Okay, all right. So that's
I think
where I
he's
was.
even a pope. I think there've been. I'm pretty
Okay,
sure there have been
I was
popes.
like, where did this come from? So I was like, all right, now I know. So
Yeah. Well, obviously it's so in the church it's pronounced Pius, but I think obviously he's pronounced Pius, but
yeah.
um,
Oh,
just
and then
the way it's
before we
spelled.
get into that, all right, and maybe I'm a little confused too. So, like, on the goaltender interference call with Ben, where it was like, so everyone said, oh, it's so obvious. Like, I know he did cross check, like, or not cross check, like, but just kind of used his stick to kind of hold Lincoln down. But like on the play, that's why I thought it was going to be a closer call than I thought it was, because after he cross checked, like, or used his stick to kind of keep him down, he got back up, and I felt like, did you think, I just felt like Lincoln had a little bit more time than what people were giving
Well,
him
I
to?
so I thought about that, and the truth of the matter is it looks that way, but you have to remember they're doing replay, so everything was like slowed down. So like you got to look at it from a perspective of. Plus, I believe Ben was still in the blue paint after he
Okay.
uh,
Because
pushed
that's
him
what
down.
I was like, I feel like Lincoln had time to kind of like get up and not to say get up and play the position thoroughly, but he had more time than I thought. Like, they were making it out to be. So
Yeah, I thought about that too, but again, I think it was just exasperated because of the replay, slowing down the I guess situation where he was. I guess I think I said that he was cross checked, and it was definitely a cross checking motion, but I
yeah,
think he was just pushing him down,
right.
kind of not even down, like it was down and over, and then obviously, I think I don't know how the puck got to him, whether it was a pass or deflection, but he got the puck and then just kind of lifted it over Lincoln, and I
Yeah.
think that was basically the gist was since Ben pushed him down and out of the way, and then Ben got as the goal scorer, that was kind of not allowing him to play the position.
Okay. That's what I just want, because I was like, man, they made it out to, oh my god, it's so blatant, and I was like, well, I mean, he did have some time to kind of get up, but I guess I could see it now why he, because with him holding him down, and then those few seconds or whatever, that a second or two that passed before he got the puck and put it over him. But anyway, but now going back to the Suter goal in overtime, you can go ahead on that.
Yeah, well, first of all, it was a fantastic pass by Brandon Hagel,
Yeah,
and we talked about, and even they had tweeted out themselves about how was all rookies on the ice between Lankin and Mitchell, Hagel and Suter. Um, I think was it a behind the back pass from Hagel, or was he just skating sideways? I don't remember. I know it was a pretty great pass, cross ice pass to Suter, and then dude, he just danced around. I don't know who it
it was
was.
Klingberg. Yeah, I mean, he undressed Klingberg, so, which was even more shocking, but because Klingberg is such a good defenseman.
Yeah, and like I was just like, all right, man, I see you. You're a little pissed about that turnover in the first period, but yeah, well, and that's like I'm happy for him, right? Because like he did not have a good first period. I even tweeted out like he should be benched. And I think most of the beat was talking about how bad he was that first period. And so to come back and get the game-winning goal, it's his fifth of the season, and with a move like that, and that was something else I thought of. Shootout, maybe next
Yeah,
time we're in the shootout.
right. No, I think he needs to get a chance at it. So I'm hoping he will eventually.
Has Kurashev yet? I don't remember.
I want to say he has, but I don't know for 100%. But I believe Kurashev has had one attempt.
I know Kubalik, I think's had one. Strome's had one. Obviously, Kane every game, I think. Yeah, and then how many shootouts have we had? Two.
I think we've had two. I want to say. Let me see. Yeah, if I'm looking at it right, I think we've had two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then Janmark, I think, went two.
So the first one against the Predators, yeah, it was Kubalik, Kane, and Janmark. They all missed. Let's see, and then the Hurricanes.
Strome, Kane, and
It was DeBrincat, Strom, and
Brinker.
Kane.
Yeah, okay. So we haven't seen Kurashev or Suter yet.
Yeah. So no, yeah, we haven't seen Kurashev either. So
Yeah,
we'll
I'd
see.
like to see both of them get a crack at it. Probably not in the same game though, because I'm assuming you want Kane and probably DeBrincat being your other two.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, all in all, with the game, I thought great comeback win, a great character win, great for the culture of the team and all the young players. Lankinen, we haven't really talked about Lankinen, but he stopped 34 out of 35 shots for a 971 save percentage.
Yeah, I mean the man, yeah, he's keeping this team. I think he's the engine, honestly, that's driving this team right now. So
yeah, and I think I don't know if that we were on air when I said this or not, but he like the Blackhawks have not had goaltending like this in a long time, and that includes when Crawford was on the team, obviously. I have no idea how to say this guy's name. I don't know if you saw it, but he's one of the like analytical, statistical guys over at the Athletic. Dom, I'll just call him Dom. So he put out a tweet tonight, and he goes, "Best goalies in the league. Number 1, Kevin Lankinen. Number 2, who the fuck cares?"
yeah, I saw that. That was funny.
Yeah, I was like, oh god, because he's actually like a pretty like in the national media. So like if he's saying that, like I think that's my hope with like talking about them making a statement tonight that they start getting a little bit more respect around the league because I've seen a lot of the power rankings and stuff. And the Hawks, I think the last one I saw had the Hawks at 25th, and I guess I can see that, but I also think like Columbus in that same power ranking. So I think the Hawks are 25th and Columbus was like 15th. And that when did I see that? Like 4 days ago. It was Saturday, I think. So like I was thinking about that to myself, or maybe it was Sunday. I think it was Sunday. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, well, I don't know if I agree with that. I definitely don't like if the Blue Jackets are 15th, the Hawks aren't 25th. Like they're not 10 teams worse than the Blue Jackets.
No, right.
And on top of that, like I don't know, like I just feel and well they are now. They're ahead of them in the standings. Um I just feel like they should have been, in that guy's rankings, probably closer to 20. And look, it's so hard to do like a full 30 team power rankings right now since we're only playing divisional opponents. But like it should like people I think are fixated on that 6-4-4 record instead of 6-1-4. And I think that's a big deal because make no mistake, this team was awful the first 4 games.
Right. Right.
Maybe not even awful the first 4, but definitely the first 3. Even because they gave up 5 goals in the 4th game, but they at least went to overtime. But it was just, it's I don't know if people just aren't paying attention to that part of the record or what, but it's like, and only 2 of those wins are against Detroit too. Like I think that's important to note because I think Florida's played them at least twice, if not 4 times. So Florida's 7-1-2. And yeah, they've played Detroit 4 times already. And the other 2 games were against Nashville, who I also said were shit.
Yeah.
So that's 6 out of their how many games have they played? 10 games. And then obviously 2 of them are against the Hawks. So that would be 8. So, like just looking at the standings and knowing, we've seen everybody now. I don't see any of these teams other than Tampa being just head and shoulders above the Hawks right now.
Right.
So, but anyway, is there anything else with the game?
No, I mean, I think, like I said, it was just really all areas we were pretty good in, outside of the first, the first period and that
The
first.
first 15 minutes, basically.
Yeah. So,
Or
but
not 15 minutes, 30 minutes.
yeah, yeah, and we recovered. Like I said, going back to what I reiterate what I said earlier. It was like, I think we at the beginning of the game after Suter made that turnover and Dallas scored, it was like, oh, okay, well, it's going to be one of those games. It's going to be a little bit of a letdown game, and we've been hot. We're due for a little cool down, but we came back, and again, the resiliency of the team showed, and hopefully we can keep this going against Columbus.
Do you have an opinion on the Dallas goalie? Because I don't know if you saw this, but some commotion on Twitter had happened because obviously the home team names the 3 stars of the game.
Right, and Ottinger was named
Number 1
over Lincoln, and I mean,
yeah.
don't get me wrong. I mean, look at Ottinger's only allowed 1 goal in or 2 goals in regulation in his 2 games that he played against us. Obviously, one in regulation 2 nights ago, 1 in regulation tonight, and the other was in extra time. So I mean, both goalies, Ottinger and Subban the last game, and Ottinger and Lincoln and tonight were both very good. So, but yeah, do I agree with the 3rd star being Ottinger over Lincoln? And no, but again, I think it's just because the home team selects the stars, so they're gonna at least try to give credit to one of their home players, which you do have to give
Not the
Ottinger
first,
credit.
like, you lost though. How can you give him the 1st star? Like
Well,
that?
yeah. Oh, he was the 1st star. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
like, and you lost, and the other goalie had better stats.
Right. Well, again, I think that's just home team biased, and I don't think I wouldn't. If I were a Hawks fan, I wouldn't think anything of it. I mean, we know how well Lincoln played, so I mean, I could understand, like you said, giving him the 3rd star or the even the 2nd star, but not.
Well, I guess, like, where I was going with that is, do you think he just got lucky, or do you think he's actually, like, a legit future star
I
goalie?
mean, that's. I think he's a good goalie. I mean, I'll see. Like if he goes up against a better a better echelon team versus us. I mean, we've our offense has kind of sputtered in a way. I mean, we've only put up one regulation or 2 regulation goals the last couple of games. With the extra one, with the other one coming in extra time both games. So I mean, I don't think the Hawks got a lot of grade A scoring chances in these. You know, like in these, at least not in this game. So, would you think he was tested all that much? I didn't.
No, so I guess that's what I was asking. So
Yeah.
I don't see him, at least off of the games that I've seen. I wouldn't go out because some people have been talking about, like, well, Ben Bishop's injured time, and Kudobin is, granted they just gave him a new contract, but he's 35, and apparently he had a Ilya Brizgalov moment where he fell asleep and missed practice, and
Yeah, I was gonna say, why did he get on Rick Bonus's crap list? Like, what did
he,
he
he
said he
he
broke?
slept through an alarm and didn't show up
Oh,
for practice.
okay.
Which I think is kind of maybe for 1 game, but for 2,
Yeah, that's why I was surprised he was not starting tonight. But
yeah,
I mean,
most people thought he would start tonight, not me included. And I mean, I guess if you think Ottinger's your guy of the future, he was a 1st-round pick. I think he was 24th overall a few years ago, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't see that much out of, like, I think he's a much different style than Lankinen. I think he's much more of a up down goalie versus kind of more stationary, if you will.
right.
Yeah, it's tough to say, I guess, but we'll see. And then I did want to give a shout out to former Hawk Tanner Caro, who's still finding ways to get into his NHL games. So good for him. He only got in 9 minutes tonight with Dallas, but good seeing that kid around. I know he was a hard worker and stuff, but obviously didn't work out with the Hawks. But glad he's still getting to live his NHL dream, because I believe he wasn't even he was an undrafted free agent, I believe, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, so good on him to still keep it going in the NHL. But with that, that'll wrap this episode up. Well, I guess, do you want to do any previews? So I assume the lineup's going to stay the same. We kind of talked about. I don't think Boquist gets into you next.
No, I don't. I think he still needs another game. I don't think he'll see the lineup until
Yeah.
Saturday.
Oh well, okay. I do not want to see 11 defensemen or 11 forwards, 7 defensemen again. I want to see. I would like to see Reese Johnson. Like I've said that repeatedly. Get in. They didn't send him to Rockford, did they?
I haven't heard anything. No.
Not yet, anyway.
I mean, do you think Lankinen starts Thursday?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think. I think Lankinen, he was off almost a week. Was it with that off day for Subban?
Yeah, I think because I think the only reason they said they started Subban was to kind of give Lankinen an extra day of rest. So.
Yeah, and they had 2 days off before that game, so that's about 3 days off.
Yeah.
I'd say he's good for another 4 or 5 games, unless the wheels absolutely fall off. But yeah, so we don't really foresee many changes with the lineup other than getting another forward in there.
When is Carpenter eligible to come back, or is he still got a while?
Well, Walmart is eligible probably tomorrow, because he was about 2 days after DeBrincat, I think, or a day after DeBrincat and Boquist.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but again, that depends on if he's testing negative, and doesn't have symptoms. Same with Carpenter, and that's really gonna. When those guys are back, they're gonna have some lineup decisions to make. Carpenter is a pretty much a mainstay, and I mean, they were sitting Walmart before he went out, but I don't know. I good problems to have, I suppose. I just wish we had a little bit more offensive players, but yeah. So good problems to have when you're winning games. But on that note, we will see everybody for the next Hawks game against the Columbus Blue Jackets, which is taking place this coming Thursday. So our review will be dropping Friday morning. And if you guys want these immediately, let us know, whether it's through tweets or through comments on the channel, because I can get them out earlier. I just figure, it's usually around midnight before we get done. So, and it takes me a while to throw them together. So they probably wouldn't be out until about 1. But if you guys want them then, that's fine. But I assume that you'd want them probably first thing in the morning. But with that, everybody, again, the Blackhawks picked up their 6th victory of the season tonight by winning 2-1 over the Dallas Stars in overtime with a beautiful goal from Pius Suter. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and let's go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Thanks again, everybody.